Anyway, okay. All right. Hello, everyone. So this is our first episode of the Angry Asian Uncles. So,
Hello there.
uh, yep. So I'm Reynolds and
I'm
my
Vic.
co. Yeah. So, so our podcast, we're just gonna be venting and complaining about various topics that bother us, and but at the end, we'll try to instill some wisdom, give you something positive to take away from this podcast. So,
That's right. We're not
today's
not all just about anger, right? We have
right,
some wisdom that we can
right.
impart.
We need to exactly. We need to give you something to work with, right?
Yeah,
So, well, today's topic, I think we'll be discussing wealth does not equal my value. So,
that's right.
yes, yes. So for me, when I this topic really bothers me because it's something that I grew up with. So in the Asian community, well, my parents are from Taiwan and I grew up in Southern California. So even though I grew up in California, the we lived in a very Asian dominant neighborhood, and
I see. Okay.
yes, so it's very competitive. So when I said so the topic of our value is very measured by, well, now that we're adults, it's truly measured by how much we make or how much we, you know, our bank accounts
Well,
and
Riddle,
stuff like that.
sorry, I'm just going to cut you off right there for a second, buddy. Allow me to interject. I was just going to say though that it's an Asian thing, isn't it? Maybe it's not just a Southern California enclave kind of thing. I think it holds true for most Asians, don't you think?
Oh yes, yes. Well, what I was trying to get at is even though I'm so far from Asia, growing up in California, you would think it's less over here, but it's I felt it's built into the culture. I mean, I don't really see it when I hang out with other people that are non-Asians, but I really see it in Asia. You know, well, I go back to Taiwan a lot, so in Taiwan, in China, and I see it here where I grew up in the neighborhood because it's predominant Asian, very Chinese community. It's very it's really like set in stone. Like that's how it is. So that's
For
why I'm
sure, for sure,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But I think even among Asians, there are degrees, no? I think, for example, Filipinos, Viets, there's some degree of that, but
yes.
I think it's probably heavier in some Asian cultures more than others. For example, I mean, from a Chinese background, yeah, definitely, it's ingrained in the Chinese culture to, in Chinese it's called 比来比去, right? You're just comparing constantly. And I think
Exactly.
our parents, their generation, they like to compare their kids. They like to compare, and they like to low key kind of brag about stuff by passively aggressively talking about how good their kids are or where they study and how much money they make, stuff like that. Right? There are
Oh,
always degrees.
yes. Well, actually, I don't know where you get the passive aggressive, but some parents, I mean, some parents bo- uh, just bold and just get it out there. I mean, there's like no shame in it. So
That's true.
I feel sometimes it's just like, hey, my kid went to Harvard, kid went to Stanford or Berkeley. I think growing up as kids, like we can't say, oh, my 5 year old is making like you know six figures or something, right? Because a normal 5 year old wouldn't be, or a normal elementary school kid wouldn't be making any money. So it's all about for growing up. It was about, oh, is he able to do, like, how well is he doing math, or how well is he doing his spelling or and stuff. And so it's
Yeah,
all about
especially for math.
education. Yeah, it's all about education. Was like the wealth or the money, symbol of money when you're a kid, because in Asian culture or in Chinese culture, at least I could say for personal experience, they think they believe hardcore that education leads to the money, right? You got to get the
Yeah, that's why there are
education.
all these internet memes about like, making fun of stuff like that. Like, oh, your cousin from China, got a PhD when he was 7 or something like that, right?
Yeah,
There are
exactly.
all these memes on the internet.
Yeah. And it's like cookie cutter. See, they're able to make memes of these things is because it's like it's just stereotype or just it's really the norm. It's like the Asian parents just want like a cookie cutter life for their kids, especially
I think part of it,
the
Reynolds,
older
is that
generation.
because they came from a generation where they struggled more in life, right? So they feel
Oh
like,
yes.
oh, if we could do it, then you have no excuse given all these advantages, so, quote unquote, advantages.
Right.
Like that. Oh, back in my day, I had to trek 5 miles just to get to school. They would
Oh yeah.
often,
Or
right?
or I came
Oftentimes
to
say stuff
America
like
with
that.
$1, right? I came to America with $1. I had to work 3 jobs. And look at you. Oh man. But yeah, I think that I think that's true. Yeah, maybe they did
So
have
they
to.
they would often compare themselves. Like back in their day, things were harder, and then they would compare the kids or of their friends or compare you to your relatives. I think it's a general Asian thing. I see it across different Asian cultures. I
Oh
don't know how
yeah.
bad it is for like maybe for white people or from Hispanics or black people. I don't know, but at least for
Yeah.
Asians, it's a pretty normal thing to be compared.
Yeah, it's very normal. I think it's and I was joking that how people talk about social media now, like, oh, social media, it's all about, like comparing others, each other's lives and stuff like that. But it's like we had that before social media. Like, before Facebook, we were being compared already. We had to compare like growing up. We had to be
Oh,
compared
yeah,
like,
all the
oh,
time, especially at
right?
family gatherings or
Oh,
parties,
yes.
right?
Oh, yeah, or just at school, like, it was just even on a car ride home, oh, you get picked up and then, oh, so and so, or your mom gives the your friend a ride and and she's like asking, "Oh, so how much what did you get on your SATs?" Like,
Oh, I
it's
hate it when they do that. I hate
you're
it when they
just
do
getting
that
a
in
ride
front of
home
you.
and then you're like, "Oh,"
Yeah,
right?
it embarrasses you so much, doesn't it?
Right? And then back then, what was it? They didn't switch. I don't know, but back then it was the 1600. So it was about, oh, look, you got 1600. You only got a 1200, and then you're like, what am I supposed to do? You're like,
I I think it's the fact that they compare you right in front of everyone else.
oh yeah.
They
So
don't really leave room for you to, you know, have
right,
any saving grace at all because they're comparing you right in front of other people.
right, exactly. You're sort of caught off guard, and even though you know it's coming, but you just don't know how to deal with it. I think because it's
All right,
just
let's rant for a moment here. So like I feel that that kind of behavior is so destructive. Not only to, a child's ego growing up, but just self-esteem, right?
oh
We're not even
yes,
talking about, you know, trying to have a massive ego, don't want to be compared. It's more of like just purely from a child development point of view, it's so destructive. It kind of crushes your confidence, right? You haven't really
yes.
had a chance to show your stuff or to bloom, and then suddenly the people who are supposed to love you the most, they shit on you right in front of your friend.
And then the point is, okay, so given that, it's like so I grew up in that nature. So uh, there's a lot of times I felt depressed. Like, but you there's no depressed in Asian culture. So we can't be like
No,
today's
there's no time
society
for
with the
depression.
kids.
What are you talking
Yeah,
about? You got to study.
yeah. You just didn't work hard enough. Like, what is this? You feel sad. That's no. You just didn't study. You just played your video
Yeah, it's
games
your fault.
and
It's your fault
right.
for being dumb.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you're telling me you feel sad. No, right? And then yeah, so in Chinese culture, there's no mental health issues. It's not nowadays you go, "Oh, I'm depressed." No. You say you're depressed, you probably get, some sort of punishment or something. Like, oh.
But where do you think this comes from though, Reynolds? I mean, I wonder if during our parents' time growing up, were they compared to their friends like that by their parents, or where do you think this comes from?
I think it's I think they were. I felt that they were, but just stakes just get higher and higher. You know,
I see.
as
Yeah.
yeah, I feel that as they grow, like they projected on like we have to carry the torch of what they w- weren't, not trying to be mean, but maybe what they didn't do. Like they didn't make the $1 million, so we have to carry the torch to make it because we're not only
Yeah.
being compared to right now our peers, but it's like I think because it's the family name. It's like for me, my last name Chen is like the Chen family. You have to carry on the legacy, right? Make us
Right,
proud.
but do you think also part of it is that they're projecting that because like you said, they weren't able to accomplish those things in life and
Right.
they kind of live vicariously through their children. And so they're projecting their hopes and aspirations onto us.
Yes. Because like for my parents, they always talk about the sacrifices that they did, right? So it's like I took the hit so that you could win the war. It's sort of that sort of
I think that's
mentality.
partially, at least for me, that's why it stings so much. Meaning there's a heavy element of guilt, right? It's not just purely comparing you to someone else. It's like there's a heavy dose of guilt that goes with their words. And also, like you can really feel the emotional energy, almost like well, I wanted to do this and that in life, but because I had to sacrifice for the family to make it to where we are today, so I can give you those opportunities. If you don't do well and squander that opportunity away, then you are indeed a failure in life. Like there's a heavy element of guilt.
Right. There's a lot of pressure to say, yeah, that's why there's a lot of pressure for us growing up to be doctors, engineers. There's not only prestigious and high paying jobs. It can't just be like prestigious or just high paying. It has to be a prestigious and high paying because that's where it's that's where you're ranked. That's where the status is. So
Well,
I feel
I
that
find that it's a little bit heavier among immigrant families too, though. That
yes,
most immigrant families they had to make a lot of sacrifices just to move to a different country and then start anew for their family and their children. So I feel that what you're saying, that element is heavier among immigrant families, especially from Asia going to a Western country. What do you think?
yes. I think it's true because I just don't see it as relevant in other. Maybe it's because I didn't grow up with them, and maybe I can only see what I see right now. But I just don't. I just see even just growing up here and where I am, where the district, you have like a predominant Asian student body, and then it's very competitive versus, if you're in another school district with you know with other immigrants, with a predominant of another culture. I just feel it's very competitive in a lot of Asian communities where that heaviness, even though we're all immigrants coming here to America, that I feel it's that they need. Okay, so their success is how they speak out. Other people have other ways of speaking out.
Mhm.
To right, and then in society or in their community, but I think in the Asian culture is like keep your head down and then but get that good job, get that high
Ah, I
paying
see what you
job.
mean. I see what
Yeah,
you mean. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's how they, some people protest or something like become important.
Yeah.
So and then your voice will be heard. So become important in that way. So I feel that's what they try to do. They don't do all the other stuff. They all they
Oh,
want.
that's such a good observation, Reynolds. I think it's because ingrained in Asian culture that we try not to stick out like a sore thumb, right? We try
Right.
to be part of the community. We try not to be too much of an individual because we value the community a lot more. At least that's the traditional values. But then you still want to, like you said, speak out or stand out among your peers, or even among, Asians versus non-Asians, right? So you want to stand out in a way. And the way you do that traditionally in Asian culture is to be very good at what you do, is to excel, right? To get that
Exactly.
high paying job, that prestigious job, be a lawyer, be a doctor, right? That's
Yes.
almost like a silent protest. Like, okay, this is how I'm going to tell the world that I'm good and I made it.
Yes, exactly. It's like the more useful you are to society, the more powerful your words are. Even though you speak softly, that's more powerful. So I think like in Taiwan, in China, like you can speak softly, but if you have a lot of wealth, it carries a lot. If you're speaking softly and you're a doctor or a lawyer or some high government official, your words have more power, but you don't really need to speak loudly. Is what I feel, is what I observe. What do you think?
That do you think this culture is slowly changing, especially as the older generation passes on the torch to the next generation? Because let me say right now, without sugarcoating it, I think that kind of culture is toxic. I mean,
Oh,
I feel that yes, to a certain extent I understand that they want us to succeed. They want everyone in the community to do well, so they're constantly egging everyone on, especially the younger generation. I get that. I get that. They worked hard, and so should we. But I do feel that a lot of this pressure is not really constructive up to a certain point. It just becomes toxic, and it could lead to extreme behavior. Some people growing up in that kind of environment would feel constantly harassed that they're being compared to other people and that they're never good enough. They never really get a chance to spread their wings, so to speak. And then the
yeah.
other extreme would be like, yes, you become ultra successful, but you're constantly trying to live up to this high ideal that is so unrealistic, right? You're constantly under stress and pressure and a lot of anxiety.
Mm.
So there are generally two extremes of outcomes that can come about because of this culture. So do you feel that, as generations pass, that some of this is receding to the background and some of the changes are happening?
I think in some cases, yes, but in some cases, no. It's because there's going to be people that break out from the norm. Like for me, right? I speak for myself because like because you know I'm blind, so it's hard to feel. I mean, in that's like the doomsday situation. Like you become disabled, like you're basically useless to society, right? In their eyes. So like they even stop comparing me. So I feel like I just fell out of the system because I'm not able to perform. Like I'm not even I don't have the capacity to perform. I'm broken parts already. So it's very so when you say it's toxic, it is toxic because it feels like it's a survival of the fittest sort of environment. Like if you don't,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't do that, you're not going to survive in this. And then what happens? You get outcast, and then what do? You really can't do nothing unless you sort of bounce back, like bounce back hard. But it's really back. It's really hard to get back into the system after you fell out because
Yeah, to your point, it creates a lot of sad people, even
yeah,
among our parents' generation. Because, after what, 40, 50 years, fast forward to 2025, you're able to look at what everyone or how everyone is faring in life. I mean, I'm talking about their generation. So, like, I have some uncles or some of my dad's childhood friends. Some are doing better than others. And I think the ones who are considered not as successful in their eyes because it's purely materialistic lens. They look at everything in terms of money, right? Or how much will a
right,
person make, right? So some are considered unsuccessful. And it's very brutal, like you said, like even among their own peers, their friends, they can treat other people really harshly just because they're seen as not making as much money or they haven't had as much success in life. And so they look down on people who, say, for example, decided to maybe not spend so much time earning money, but they wanted to spend more time with their family. And then
Yes.
for them, for their peers, that would look like this person just gave up. Like this
Exactly.
person is just
Yes.
not good enough and couldn't hack the pressure.
Right.
Yeah, but I
Exactly.
feel like that's so toxic. Like, how can you measure everything in terms of monetary value, right? I don't know what
Yes.
created culture in their generation, and it's so
Right.
toxic that they're passing it on to us. But I feel like in our generation, because we were at the receiving end for a lot of it, we try to filter a lot of that out for our own children. We don't want to pass on a lot of that generational trauma to the next generation, right?
Yes. Yes. We really try not to, but I feel sometimes even raising my kid, it seeps in because it's so programmed into your DNA that you're looking at. Like my son's autistic, and then he can't do single. He's like third grade, and he can't do single number math. And you're seeing another kid that could do their multiplication table, and you're like, oh, right. But then but then deep down inside, it's okay. Everyone has their time, has their time to shine and everything. But it's so toxic that it's even though you don't like it, it's already influenced. It's already like ingrained into your DNA that it's even as a father, like you have to fight the urge to. Like it doesn't come natural. Like it's not a neutral thing where, let me choose this path, let me choose A or B. It's more like I have like I'm built for A, I have to force myself to go B. Uh,
Well, I mean, you are fighting generations of ingrained trauma and conditioning. So don't be so hard on yourself. I feel like we're already doing a decent job. First of all, just being able to identify
Right.
all the toxicity that they're spewing out is
Right.
already a milestone. And I feel that this kind of the changes don't happen overnight. This kind of change doesn't just happen immediately. It'll take some time. And I do feel that it'll take several generations to really come to a balance. So to your point, I feel that, of course, I mean, as parents, we always want our kids to do better. And it's a balance between pushing them and gentle nurturing. We don't want to just keep pushing them without nurturing them. But there's a part of us that if we're being good parents, we do have to push them. So, yeah, I feel that that part is okay. The problem is when, like most of our parents' generation, they push too hard and forget all about the nurturing. That's when the problems begin, right?
Right.
So I do feel that it'll take a while, it'll take some time.
Yes. I think it's always about you always feel not good enough because like say for instance, you get a B, right? And then it's like, oh great, you got a B, right? It's supposed to be like, oh great. Hey, you got a B, right? But it's not it's more but how they respond is how come you didn't get an A? And then when you do get an A, it's like, how come it's not an A plus? it's
Never good enough.
it's like it's never ending. Like, oh, like because the American culture, you celebrate the wins, right? It's like, oh, it's okay, there's good and bad to it, but most of the times, like, oh, you got an A, let's celebrate, right? It's not like, oh, how come it wasn't an A plus, right? It's like you got a B. Hey, that's great. Let's celebrate that. But in Asian culture, this is like, oh, even though you got 100%, it's like, oh, how come you didn't get the bonus question right? You could have got 110. Right? It's like, it's like, it's
Well,
like, oh, yeah.
if you ask our parents or some of their friends, they would, in fact, they would argue that, oh, this is just our way of showing you our affection. We constantly want you to be better. That this is our way of showing love. Right?
Yes,
That's how people
exactly.
look at it.
Oh man, yeah, this is how it
I guess
shows.
it comes from a good place in their heart. It's just that we're at the receiving end of it, and it doesn't feel very good.
Yes, I think so. Or
No, but here's
or
the
maybe
question, though.
okay.
Knowing all these things, though, Reynolds, like, so I feel that it's important to discuss. So how do we move forward from here? How do we take the best of what their generation is giving us, but instill something new for the generation that follows us? Because obviously we can't just keep doing what they're doing. It's very toxic. It's not
Right.
working, especially as the world changes, society moves on, values and norms change somewhat. You can't really just take whatever they give us and then just use the same old stuff expecting different results, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
how do we take the best of that? First of all, what's the best of what they're giving, right? What's the best that they're giving us? Do you have an opinion on that?
I feel at the end of the day, it does develop drive and ambition. Like not in it, drive, like to do better, to be better in life, to improve. I think so. At least for me, like it does develop some sort of resilience, like knowing how to when if things are tough, like you gotta push through type of mentality. I I think I enjoyed that because that's sort of the takeaway from me is like, okay, they're pushing, and why? Well, life's tough. Yeah, so life's tough. Oh, I think that's life's tough, and we gotta know how to be more durable. Push through, not be in that sense weak, but at the same time, we gotta know that it's okay to fail. I think in
Yeah,
their
you bring
case,
up
it's
a
not
good
okay
point.
to fail,
Exactly.
but
I think if most Asians are honest, I think that's one of the biggest fears that most Asians have: failure, right? We don't want to
yeah,
fail in the eyes of our parents, our peers, ourselves. I think if we're honest, if we're being honest, it ranks high up there. One of the biggest fears that for most of us we carry inside of us.
yes, yes. I agree. I think we're down to our last few minutes here, but I think so. We'll try to wrap
Wrap
up
things
with
up.
some of our wrap things up with our final thoughts and takeaways. For me, I wanted people to say to be able to accept themselves, to be able to accept failure. There's a time and place for drive and ambition and to push forward and think you could conquer the world. But if it doesn't happen, it's okay that it doesn't happen. You know, Be-
Wow,
as
that's beautiful, man.
yeah.
That's beautiful.
So I feel like be okay with failure because growing up, it's like failure is like the end of the world. But I think now that I want to, especially tell myself failure is okay. If it's okay. There's another day. All that matters is you're able to get up and go another round. That's it. Not everything is gonna result in in the best scenario. Sometimes you're gonna have your worst scenarios, and I think to be able to accept that because I think that's where they don't allow us to accept that. Don't allow us to
Mhm.
accept failure. So I think my takeaway is being able to accept failure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I just feel that now that I'm a parent myself, looking back and looking to the present and future, my biggest takeaway from all this is that we should be we should be nurturing as well. We have to find that balance somewhere. It's always
Yes.
good to push, but like you said, I guess I'm just kind of rephrasing what you're saying in a way. I just feel that yes, there's a time for drive and ambition and push, but there's also a time for just saying, you know what? Not today. Today, I probably need to focus on myself, self health, self care. Mental health is very important too. And you got to take care of yourself and your family. And it's not all about pushing and winning all the time. I think there's a
Yes.
time and season for everything. That's probably my biggest takeaway.
Yes. I agree. I agree. And I think hopefully our audience can see that too. So I know we complain about a lot of things, especially in our culture, but hopefully the takeaway is that they learn to accept, learn
I would
to
love to
be okay
hear
with it.
like opinions from other friends if they would comment or maybe join us for a future podcast, right?
Oh,
It'll be
definitely. Yeah.
interesting to hear what they have to say, especially if there are other Asians like Viet or Filipino, maybe
Yes. So
Cambodians.
yeah,
I don't know. It'll be fun, right?
yes, we welcome anyone that has an issue, right, to come on. And of course, if this if you like what you're hearing, please share. And then yeah, till the next episode.
Cheers.
Cheers.